What does it actually take to get into movie star shape? Welcome back to the channel, Robin Good here, and today we're going to do something really cool. We're going to analyze what it actually takes to get into Hollywood ready physique, right? The latest James Bond just got released, and one of the scenes where Daniel Craig is in the water got a lot of attention. Maybe you saw the movie already, but one of the scenes is him in the ocean, in his blue pants, and really showing off his well-trained body, that Hollywood ready physique. And what we're going to do now is going to have a look at what his training looked like, what muscle groups he focused on, what he generally focused on, so you also know what you have to focus on if you want to get into that physique, if you want to get into Hollywood ready shape, and also of course what you should avoid. So first of all, I have to say it has been a pretty cool movie. I'm not the biggest James Bond fan, but this one has been really cool, really enjoyed it. But that one scene got a lot of attention, if you watched it, Daniel Craig in the water and showing off his physique. So you can really see already he has, well-rounded shoulders, a fully developed chest. His abs are not super clearly visible, but that could also be a little bit genetic, but that also means that his body fat has not been super low. But you also see like well-developed arms, that's all good. And basically just a well-rounded physique. It just looks very good. Not like a bodybuilder, not like an endurance runner or something, like just really good amount of muscle and just basically looking good. So what his training looked like, you can already see from the shoulders, from the arms, he definitely focused there. Also, like his chest is pretty rounded, pretty well-rounded. So he did a lot of like not only bench work, like chest work, but also like worked on the upper chest. You can see that because usually, especially for natural people, like people who don't use steroids, developing an upper chest is a little bit more difficult. And you can see he definitely put his work in there. I have to say, I have no idea if he's natural or if he's not. But if he is, he definitely invested some time in his upper chest work and definitely also in his shoulder work, in the lateral delts. That means the side of the shoulders, right? So you can see they're very well rounded. They're very, fully developed. That's a really cool thing. But now, what's missing out a little bit, you can see like his physique, he's pretty good developed, but overall his body fat could be a little bit lower. He's not super lean. I mean, this is really complaining on a high level. He's not super crazy lean, but of course overall looks really good, definitely beach ready. So you can definitely see like when people try to attempt to get into that shape, of course he focused a lot of strength training, resistance training, weights, body weight. But in order to look like that, it's not only necessary to, let's say, bulk up and, build a ton of muscle and, just eat whatever you want so you get huge. What he focuses on and what all the actors focus on before they get into their set, into their working, into working on the movie is they're dieting, they're shredding down, they're losing body fat to look more muscular. Yes, losing body fat to look more muscular. If you want to look more muscular, you should not only focus on bulking up as much as you can and basically eat whatever you want and just train. What you really want, in order to look muscular, you need to see the muscles. And if they're, covered by a ton of fat, there's not much going to be visible then. Maybe you look big then in a t-shirt, but as soon as you pull off the t-shirt and you can see, the love handles and, the belly a little bit, then it doesn't look that muscular anymore. But if you have like, flat belly, everything is ripped, everything is detailed. You can see like, the abs and all the serratus here on the side, you see that looks like a little bit sometimes like ribs, but it's this is a muscle. Also like, the chest fibers and, the arms are very well rounded. That's a sign of low body fat. And if you're just bulking up and focusing on building muscle, you will not look like that. So what all these actors do, shredding down, getting to a low body fat percentage. So what I think about when I look at him, he's hard to say. It's around, I would say around 13, maybe 12% body fat. It could also be a little bit higher, could be a little bit lower. His midsection is really hard to judge, and it's also hard to judge to see only on one picture. But what you have to be aware of is, if you want to really look like some of these actors and really have that ripped shape, you should probably focus on fat loss and of course resistance training at the same time, and not only building muscle and bulking up. Because yes, you can build some muscle while losing fat, but if you build a ton of muscle and a ton of fat with it, you're not going to look super ripped, right? So in his case, he definitely dieted down. He really definitely focused on a good fat loss phase. He probably already is, pretty muscular since years because he's been working out for years. But when they get ready for a role like that, they're usually shredding down. Another famous example is Zac Efron in Baywatch, right? He got a lot of attention with his physique there, super ripped, especially next to The Rock. The Rock is anyway another level, but let's have a look at Zac Efron here. He looked really ripped. You saw the abs, the six pack, the veins, everything was popping. He looked really, really good. But also you have to in mind, of course, he focused on resistance training. He built a little bit of muscle, but in order to look like that, he has been dieting, and that's what he said himself. He has been dieting for over 6 months. Shredding body fat for over 6 months. He also said afterwards he did a low carb approach, which he really regretted. That's what I'm also preaching. You don't need to go low carb to look like that. But of course you have to focus on resistance training, but the most important thing, losing fat. Because no matter how much muscle mass you're carrying, if you're carrying a little bit or a lot, if you have too much body fat on you, you will not look ripped. It's simply not the case. Maybe in a shirt you look bulky and massive, but as soon as you pull off the shirt, you will not look as ripped, and you want to look ripped on the beach, right? So that means losing body fat is the most important thing right here. So you can see in his case already in that picture, you can see, as I said, like the veins, the abs popping. He's not super crazy muscular. If you would put him next to The Rock, he still looks a little bit tiny, right? Of course, The Rock is another level, but you see, he doesn't have like massive arms or anything like that. But what he has is a really low body fat percentage. That means the muscle he's carrying, if it's a little bit more, whatever you think it is, you just can see it. And the more muscle you can see, the more defined you look and the more muscular you actually look. There's so many people out there, they look super skinny when they're wearing a normal shirt, but when they pull it off and you see how ripped they are, you'd be like, ooh, I would like to look like that. That looks quite good, So definitely, if you want to have that Hollywood aspiring physique, shredding body fat is usually 90% of the cases what you need to do. So to quickly summarize, if you want to look ripped, if you want to look like a movie star, a Hollywood ready physique, if you want to have that, biggest mistake number one, don't focus on bulking up too much. Because yes, you need some amount of muscle, that's true, but if you just bulk up and you cannot see the muscle that you've built, you just look bulky then. It doesn't look super good. You want to focus on fat loss, and while you're focusing on fat loss, you can still build some muscle. That's still possible, especially if you're in the newer stage and you optimize everything. Your training is on point, your nutrition is on point, you have the right protein intake. If everything is on point, you can lose body fat and still build some muscle at the same time, which then brings you into a very good position to really look sliced and diced on the beach. So the magic formula to getting ripped is literally a proper fat loss phase, making sure your body loses body fat efficiently by setting up your nutrition the right way, resistance training to make sure your body maintains and even builds muscle while doing so, and the third thing, patience. This is really, really important. Be patient. If you think it will take you 12 weeks to get into that look and be ripped and look diced, double it. It usually takes double the time to get into that shape, because trust me, you're carrying more body fat than you're actually thinking. And to get really that diced look, it takes just some time. It just takes time, and you have to be patient. You need to have the right strategy, you need to have the right protocols, and you need to be patient. Of course, over time, adjusting a couple things, but also making sure you have the patience, you have the time in order to be truly successful. So if you're inspired now by these physiques and you also want to get into movie star ready shape and you want to get that Hollywood physique, then feel free to apply down below for a free consultation call. On that call, we're going to have a close look at your situation and of course also coming up with a step-by-step plan so you can see exactly how you're going to get from your current situation to that Hollywood ready physique so you really look ripped, sliced and diced on the beach and basically are ready for the next Hollywood thriller. So link is down below and see you soon on the set. Robin Good out.